When making a game, using arrays or lists as known in Scratch is one of the most powerful tools you can use. In this video, I'll be taking you through how I designed a pretty sophisticated system that hopefully will save my sanity. Hello everyone, my name is SLE and currently I am pursuing my dream to make a full game in Scratch before I move on to a different engine. So, in the last video, I talked about what kind of game I'm making right now. So, if you're interested in that, you can go watch that video after this one. But we are here to talk about lists. So, let's get started. First of all, what is a list or an array? Think of a box that has separated sections that are numbered 1, 2, 3, and so on. In these sections, you can place a piece of paper where you write something like a word or a number. My friends, this is what we call a list. This is the box, this is the numbering, and this is the paper that we put in it. Arrays, which are referred to as lists in Scratch, are basically the same thing. The only difference is that arrays begin numbering from 0 while lists begin numbering from 1. Since I am talking about my game in Scratch, I am going to refer to them as lists from here. But remember, arrays and lists are basically the same thing. Now if I want to talk about how to use them, I could talk about this for hours. Because of that, I am only going to talk about how I use them in my project. Now don't worry, watching this video should give you some knowledge on how to use them. If you are interested in learning about this a bit more, I encourage you to go watch more devlogs and see how others use them and play around with it yourself. Trust me, it will save a lot of time. Well, without further ado, I present to you the Clone Manipulator 3000. The 3000 part doesn't have any meaning. I thought it would be cool. Anyway, in Scratch, you can create clones of your sprite and assign them an ID number so you can manipulate them however you want. This means changing their sprite and moving them around and literally anything. Right now I have a lot of bullets and 6 balloon spots. If I want to make any changes or debug them, I would have to go through every single one of them, which is a pain. Now imagine in the future if I had 100 sprites that have tons of chords I have to go through, which will be a nightmare. And people, this is where we unlock a huge shortcut. As I talked about earlier, we can make clones and make them do whatever we want them to do. So here's my strategy. I'm going to make a sprite for some category. It could be enemies, balloons, bullets, or something else. Let's say enemies. We can start by making a clone and giving it the costume that we want, like Cactus Baby. And then we can make that clone do what we want to do, and after its service is done, we can remove it. This means instead of having multiple sprites for enemies, we only really need one sprite and we can group all of them together. So no more going through hundreds of sprites. We can do this to all of our sprites. And technically, we can make a game like this with just one sprite. But this is much more a way to organize our sprites. So I can organize all of my enemies like Happy Fields enemies, Spooky Forest enemies, and Fungi Island enemies. And I can also organize sprites like balloons together. Now I'm going to take you step by step through the process of this clone system. And the first thing we made is the trigger list. This guy is basically the manager who tells the staff to begin the process. Basically what he does is wait until the trigger list box gets filled with any paper and take it out immediately and tell the others to start. Now let's go back to that box that we talked about. If I want to, let's say I want Cactus Baby to appear. I'm going to write a new item named Cactus Baby and put it inside the box. We can make it so that the trigger list checks if there is an item named Cactus Baby in there. And if it's true, he can take it out and tell the others to start. Now if I want Medi to activate, it's the same story. I just write Medi and put it in the box. Then he checks the box to see if there's some kind of name like that. Then he tells the others. So this is the way to do it, right? Nope! If I have hundreds of enemies, then I have to make the poor guy check for 100 plus times to see which enemy it is. Now there is a key fact that we need to remember. This guy's job is just to check if there is something that they need to start. He doesn't care about what it is. So for simplicity, we'll say that if something needs to be started, we write 1. Otherwise, we write 0. This means now he only needs to check if there is a 1 in that box. And if there is, then he can tell the others to begin their job. Now there is a chance that the box contains 2 or more 1s at the same time. According to my experiments, I found out the trigger list searches the box from first section to the last, and when it finds one of the 1s, it will stop searching. For example, if I have a 1 in section 2, another 1 in section 5, and if I ask the trigger list guy which section contains 1, he will say it's the second section. So to avoid anything happening like that, we can make it so that once he figures that out, he replaces that section with a 0, which means he emptied that paper out of that section, which will allow the other sections to be counted. Now remember, this is the CPU that's doing all of this stuff. He can do it so fastly that you won't even be able to notice it. Now there is another problem that we have to deal with. If we are only inputting 1s, how can we tell which enemy we want to spawn? That's where we use the order of the section. We can say that the number 1 spot is reserved for Cactus Baby. So if there's a 1 in that spot, that means I want to spawn Cactus Baby. Now you can see that I made it so that the list gets filled with the order they reserve, and then I immediately replace all of them with 0. Now this is not required, but it's a quality of life feature that I'm adding so that I can see which spot is reserved for who. If you're someone who wants to learn about a list, I highly recommend paying attention to that part. Because if you're using so many variables, then you can use list in the same way to store all of them. So you won't have to deal with hundreds of variables in the future. If you have any questions, please ask in the comments, and I'll do my best to respond to you and give you an answer. Now that's what the trigger list does. And now we are moving to the next step of this system, the clone maker. This guy's only job is to make clones and assign them an ID number according to our wanted enemy. So if you want to spawn Medi, then he will create a clone, give that clone 2 as the ID. That's all he really does. Which brings us to the next step,
the clone manipulator.
This guy is the real deal. He's the one who decides what to do with the clone, which costume should he change into, and best of all,
their death.
You see, to make sure that we don't make too many clones and lag the computer, Scratch has a hard limit of 300 clones per project. Since most of our system is built around clones, we have to make sure that if some kind of clone isn't relevant anymore, we have to delete them. So once their job is done, we are going to remove them without any mercy. Sorry about that. There are other steps to the system, like using these clones to check for collisions or if they are clicked. For stuff like collisions, we can put them in a forever loop like this. And if we need to check if something is clicked, then we can simply use when this sprite is clicked block. Now the cool thing about using forever loops is that I don't have to worry about this loop running for eternity. Since these forever loops are controlling a clone, once the clone is deleted, it has no one to control, which will lead for the loop to stop. I'm really proud about this system because it's something that I came up with on my own without looking up a tutorial. Yes, there could be a million other ways I could have done this very easily, but I really like this one because it's something that I made for myself, which works very well for my project. Now I'm going to talk about the benefits I get by using this strategy. The biggest benefit is organization. Organization is something that is really important, not just in game development, but in everyday life. Being organized helps you to do your tasks more efficiently and also helps you to do them more calmly. Let's all agree. It's nice to see a beautifully organized desk than a one that looks really messy. So we go from this to this. If you noticed in the video, now I'm using emojis in front of my functions or custom blocks as they refer to Scratch to keep them organized. Now I'll have an easier time when I'm going through these blocks. Another benefit is that it is easier for me to add new content to the game. Now I don't have to make different sprite every time I want to make a new enemy. By using these systems without even knowing, they are automatically organized as I want. If someone is willing to remix this project and add more things to the game, they will also have an easier time doing so, which means the more remixes you have, the chance of your project featured in the Scratch homepage increases. Seriously, if you are not using this in Scratch, you are missing out. If you are a game developer who is currently working on a project, then I highly recommend finding a way to organize your code for your own sanity. No matter which programming language you use, staying organized from as early as you can will help you in the long run. Well, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed and learned something new. If you have any kind of questions about any of the stuff that I talked about here, I'll do my best to help you understand it, so leave a comment. I'll be making more videos like this, so if you're interested, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Also, check out this video about the first develop that I did. In that video, I talk about all of my goals for the game. Goodbye for now and see you guys next time.